The title for Venom 3 has officially been revealed, and it's going to be called Venom: The Last Dance. Now, Tom Hardy's actually been teasing this over the last few years. You can see this Instagram post from 2 years ago. He said, "Here we go." It was the start of production on Venom 3, and you can see in the bottom right, it literally says Last Dance, so it was right in front of our eyes. We just didn't know that was the title. Now, obviously, I think the name signifies that this is going to be Tom Hardy's last ride, his last performance as Eddie Brock, aka Venom. So I think Venom could actually die at the end of this movie because it makes no sense to call it The Last Dance if you're not going to get rid of this character, because I highly doubt Venom is just going to, retire or something. I think he's going to have to be defeated. And we know Toxin is going to be one of the villains in this movie, so I wouldn't be surprised if Toxin actually kills Venom at the end. The other thing we gotta talk about is whether or not Spider-Man is gonna be in this movie, because if it's truly the last dance, the final performance of Tom Hardy as Venom, and the dude hasn't fought Spider-Man, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. So I really hope Spider-Man is in this movie, whether it's Toby, Andrew, or Tom. One of them has to be in this. Now, this scooper over on Twitter says that they have heard that Spider-Man is going to be in the movie and that it's going to be Andrew Garfield. Now, take that with a massive grain of salt, because this obviously is not a Hollywood trade or a very well-known industry insider, but honestly, I could see that. Andrew Garfield did say in No Way Home that he wanted to fight an alien, so maybe Sony brings him over to finally face off against their Venom. I think that would actually be pretty cool. I would love to see this right here. Andrew Garfield back in the suit fighting against Tom Hardy's Venom. It would be glorious. But it could also be a variant of Tom Holland, or maybe even the MCU Tom Holland, I don't really know, but Tom Hardy has been teasing a showdown with Spider-Man for years now, and all of the photos that he shared are all of Tom Holland's Spider-Man, so maybe it ends up being Tom Holland. We won't know until we see the movie, of course, but I have a pretty good theory on how it might happen. So at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock says that he might have to go talk to this Spider-Man, and he's going to go to New York and find out who it is, and maybe it's just a variant of Tom Holland. Then Spider-Man could realize that these symbiotes in this movie, so Venom and Toxin, are just causing a lot of problems. And he tries to take them down, and then maybe Venom ends up dying in the process, which would fuel his hate for Spider-Man. And we know that the symbiotes have a multiversal hive mind, so maybe that Venom can actually transfer his consciousness over to the MCU, where we saw a bit of his goo left over in the post-credit scene of No Way Home. That's a thing that happens in the comics all the time. The current King in Black is Eddie Brock, and he can transfer his consciousness to different symbiotes, so maybe the movie version can actually transfer to the MCU, and then maybe he can look for the MCU Eddie Brock, or maybe he goes over to Peter Parker. Then maybe he can actually ruin Tom Holland, Peter Parker's life, because we know that the Venom symbiote can alter behavior, so maybe he gets really upset that Tom Holland's Peter Parker in the Sony universe ends up being the reason for his death, and then he tries to bond with Tom Holland, take over his body, alter his behavior, ruin his life, and I think that could actually work pretty well. I just feel there has to have a Spider-Man connection in this movie. I think it would be utterly ridiculous if Venom gets a whole trilogy and never fights against his main foe as Spider-Man. Let me know what you guys think about my theory down below. Do you think that Venom is going to die at the hands of Spider-Man, transfer his consciousness over to the MCU, and then fight against Spider-Man in the MCU, or maybe take over his body and try to ruin his life? Let me know what you guys think down below, and are you happy with the title of Venom: The Last Dance?